once again, guys, this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to have the firewall. It will have two interfaces on it. One will be facing to the one, and the other one will be our local area network. And we're going to have two servers there and one client, and we'll play with the roles and the services which these devices will provide. So we explain what it is once again, what it is hypervisor, and which one especially we're going to use here in our cases, the VirtualBox Manager. So I'll start with the installation of the CentOS 7. Now, you guys to download the CentOS 7, let me find it. That's the link. Now, notice that we're using still version 7. When you go and when you use when you start using CentOS 7 nowadays, you're gonna realize actually the version which most of the most of the people are using outside is 8 already. 7 is still good, so we're gonna go with it. I have all the materials prepared for it, so basically I will use them so to show it to you how to set it up properly. Okay, so what we'll do first, let me share with you the link. Here it is. I'll share it with you on the I just put it there. Once again, for now, download the 10th from the top when you open this link, where it says CentOS 7 x86-64 mini. That's for the minimum installation, and it says here 1 GB. Okay, download this one. Wait 5-10 minutes, and afterwards we will start the installation. When we start the installation, we will actually create a new virtual machine. Now, there are two ways when you see this mode, this wizard of creating a virtual machine. The basic one is called the guided mode, and it's the same like the expert mode, but actually you click more on it. So on the expert mode, which I'm demonstrating in the moment, you click less. Okay, so let's see how they call the machines we need to install. Let's see how they're called. So this one will be called FW. Well, that's how we're gonna call it. I will call it FW. Now, my machine most probably won't take the name. Let's see, because I already used this name here in the other machines. But anyway, if it doesn't, for me, I'm gonna just change it for you guys. It will be working. Now, we need to install a Linux machine. So in the type of the machine, instead of Microsoft Windows, we need to choose Linux. Then we will go on the version, and we need to choose the appropriate version. And to CentOS 7 to be able to work with, we need to choose the Red Hat, and we need to choose the 64-bit. Because CentOS 7 is also Oracle Linux, as well as Scientific Linux, as well as Fedora. They're part of the Red Hat family. So we're going to click on the Red Hat here. We're going to go, let's see if they propose us how much RAM we to use in the other thing. Let me go a little bit down. Yeah, there is something here. They say how to call them, and so on and so forth. They say which IP addresses we guys to use. So you see, it's well organized. So we'll do as they say. Let me see if they provide. Okay, they don't provide us, so we're gonna use out of the box something which will be enough. So I'll come here, and I will click once a little bit ahead of this scroller, so it will change with exactly ½ gigabyte what is here. So I'm going to choose 1.5 gigabyte from memory for my memory size, for my RAM. Now, keep in mind that here there is a green portion, there is a yellow portion. It's not very visible between the yellow and the red portion, but this one here is the red portion of this scroller, which means if you get into the orange portion here or the yellow portion, you get in trouble. If you get into the red portion, that means you will basically your real machine will run out of memory. Now, you might be like me at the moment in very beginning of the green portion, but you might have 20 machines like this and you would like to start all of them. Guys, I always like the analogy with Harry Potter and the magic. Unfortunately, I really like this movie, even though I'm more than 50. I'm watching it regularly. It's very nice, all the movies. But unfortunately, we're living in the real world, so you cannot expect Harry Potter to live among us, guys. You cannot expect to start 20 machine, every one with 1.5 GB RAM memory if you have only 16 GB of RAM memory, right? 20 multiplied by 1.5 will do 30 gigabytes. So if you have 16 gigabyte, what you're gonna see next when you try to start all of this machine is the BSD, or also called the blue screen of death. Your computer, your real computer, will die. So don't do this. Always you could click here. I'm intentionally putting the taskbar on the top so the student to see better. So when you go and when you start the task manager, you could see exactly how much resources you have when you click on more resources here. And you're gonna see you have 9%, 694% usage of your CPU. Here how much memory is in use. Here how much the disk, and here about the networking. So guys, that what means always check your real computers, parameters, and be sure that there will be sufficient one you guys to start your virtual machines you would like to work. Otherwise, the Harry Potter effect will kill you. Will kill your virtual machine, your real machine actually. Don't forget, the host machine is the most important part. It's supposed to be alive so you guys to start your virtual machines. Okay, so I guess I made myself clear, and everybody will be able to check this regularly when you starting your virtual machines. Now, a little bit up in our chat, I mentioned also the email address, as well as you could find out them in Team, in Microsoft Team, for our friends from IT department. If you have problem, you cannot log in as an administrator on your computer, meaning you cannot install anything. If the virtualization is not started on your computer, if you have Hyper-V and you cannot start VirtualBox, all of this means you need to call them and you need to ask them for assistance. You might need to go there and there to help you out. They might help you out remotely, but all of this means you guys need to do something, not to wait. Okay, don't wait for this. I won't do any exception for anyone. You guys are trained here to become IT professionals working on this environment all the time, so I cannot allow you guys to waste time. If you have problem, you resolve it. Point final, as they say here in Quebec. You need to finish and you need to do your stuff and you need to proceed further. Okay, so with 1.5 GB memory, we're good to go now, and I could say create. Now you see, because the machine name is taken already, as I mentioned to you guys, it doesn't allow me to proceed. No problem for this one. I will call it firewall. You could call it FW. Actually, that's the machine name. It's not the virtual machine name, so it doesn't really matter how I call it here. Right? So that would be my firewall. I'll go a little bit here once again, like with my size of RAM. I'm gonna say create, and now I need to choose the size of my hard drive. We're not gonna do too many intensive things, so I could go a little bit ahead of the scroller here and click once again. So it's to duplicate from 8 GB to 16. That's enough. The hard disk file type and the storage, we're gonna choose wherever it's proposed to us. I'll say create, and our virtual machine eventually will appear. Let me see where it's appearing actually. It appears, here it is, firewall. So it appears in one of the groups which I already created. So I'm just gonna take it, I'll drag it out, and I'll show you how to create these groups. You see, it's very easy and very well actually helping you out, guys, to organize your kind of dashboard here. So to create a group, when you have created already the machine, first of all, it's supposed to be shut down. When it's shut down, you right click and you do group. Now it will be grouped. Okay. Now if you would like to change the name, you click again where it says new group, and you say rename the group. And now I'm gonna call it as our module, which is T07, and I'll click enter, and here it is. If I would like to shrink it, here it is. It's actually making my work with the environment here much easier to understand. So here it is when I open. Okay. Now I could create even subgroup of this group. So I could click on this one and I could create a new group. Okay. So actually, it doesn't seem. I'll show it to you how to do it after this. I'll create it outside with the next machine and we'll do it. So let's first install this thing. So before we started it, we need to click settings. Now on the settings, initially we will install this machine as command line interface only. We will even leave it as this. But some of the machines which we're gonna clone out of this, because we're gonna clone 3 more machines out of this. Here it is. You see we need 3 more machines. So that's the machine we're producing now. 1, 2, 3, 3 more machines. Okay. So because on some of them I might want to have a graphical interface. In that case, I will do some things which normally I'm not supposed to do while I'm doing the only command line interface. So I'll click here on the General tab, the Advanced tab, and I will allow the shared clipboard to be bidirectional and drag and drop to be bidirectional. What means this? It's written here. You know, if I click here, it says disabled, host to guest, guest to host bidirectional. So shared clipboard means when you start your virtual machine, you could copy, so you could write down, you could right click on this document on your real machine, do copy and paste it in your virtual machine, and vice versa when it's bidirectional. If it's host to guest, that means from your real machine to your virtual machine. If it's guest to host, vice versa, and so on and so forth. Well, I'm choosing always bidirectional. Drag and drop is even easier. You just drag it from your real machine and you drop it in your virtual machine. And that's all. That's why we're choosing this thing. Then I'll go again here. I'll go to system. Now we've chosen already our RAM. We could go with a little bit more of processor power. For now, we'll leave it like this. I don't need the floppy, even though it won't make any problems while it's booting, but I'll just uncheck it and I'll mark it and I'll move it with the scroller on the side to the bottom. Now it's very important here, guys, you to change from PS2 mouse to USB tablet mouse. Your pointing device to be USB tablet. Otherwise, you're going to have trouble working with your mouse within the virtual machine. So USB tablet is what you need to choose here. On the display, once again, we're going to work with command line. We don't need to do anything here, but when we start working eventually with the graphical interface, we need the full power of our video memory, so we're going to go here to 128 megabyte. Then I'll go to the storage, and I have 2 controllers here, and one is for my CD here on the top. So I'll click on the CD here. It will appear on the right side a little bit different attributes screen, with a small icon of CD. I'll click on this icon. And I already chosen, I have already used my CentOS 7. For you guys, you could click, if you don't have it, you click choose, and you point wherever your disk is. Mine is in my downloads folder. Here it is. If I open my downloads folder, here where it is. This is the CentOS 7. So I already used it, so it's already here in my shortcut. So I'm going to just say, I'm going to choose this one. Now the network. The network is important because the network is how we will work. So see something here interesting, guys. This firewall actually is connected to 2 networks. That means we need to have 2 network cards attached to it. Now, because we're connected to the one, most of the time this interface, the first interface, which will be the wide area network, I'm going to choose here and I'm going to use bridge adapter. Now, I really hope you read what I showed it to you guys to read, and you understand what the bridge adapter is. Very short explanation. Your adapter will get IP address from your real network. Here's my real network. When I open the, the command line from my real computer, and if I do here ipconfig /all with empty space in between, I'm going to see my real network. Here it is. My real network IP address is 172.31.0.200, and you see my subnet mask is 255.255.0.0, so my network address is 172.31.0.0. Okay? My default gateway, as you see, is 172.31.0.1. My DHCP server is 172.31.0.1. And as you see, the DHCP server is enabled. So I will receive an IP address on this interface. And my DNS server is the same like my default gateway too. So I have a firewall, which obviously is the default gateway, and the DNS here in this network. So I'm expecting on this interface, when I choose bridge adapter, me to get an IP address from 172.31.0.0 network. That's what I'm expecting. Okay. Now the other adapter, there are many choices. If you read the explanation, how to do it. You could use NAT network. You could use NAT. Well, you cannot use NAT because NAT provides only one IP address. But you could use NAT network, which is not a good idea, I'm telling you, because we will implement our NAT. The next choices are either internal adapter or host-only adapter. Now, I will choose host-only adapter because if you read the document which I provided you with, they explain there that the host-only adapter, you're going to have direct access from it. Let's say using program like PuTTY, you will be able directly to write down the IP address without any additional settings on the firewall or anything, and you're going to be able to access this IP address. That's why I will use the host-only adapter. Aside of this, the host-only adapter doesn't provide any IP address. It doesn't provide anything. Doesn't provide access out of the box to the internet. So we need to do it ourselves. So before doing this, though, there are two very important considerations you guys need to do. The hypervisor we spoke about is ruled here by the file menu. When you click on the file menu, all of these options actually are not for the virtual machines, they're for the hypervisor. So basically what you do here, you need to click first on the preferences, file preferences, and you need to go to the network. Now, on the NAT network, by default, when you install, there will be nothing here. Now, since if we don't use a firewall, and that's the case, we're going to use a firewall in this case, but if you just need a virtual machine with an IP address connected to another different machine without firewall, NAT network is what you're going to use. If you use only NAT, it won't work because it's always giving you the same IP address, 10.0.215 by default. You could change this. But at the same IP address on two computers, that means they cannot connect to each other. Okay? So that means always you're going to use NAT network. Unfortunately, by default, the NAT network is not automatically allowed. So I always say to the students, even though in that case we're not going to use it, you guys are going to check it. At least one of it you're supposed to have here. It's very easy. If I would like to create another NAT network, I'll click on the plus sign, here it is. If I want another one, here it is. If I would like to change some of the settings, I'll click on this one. I come here, maybe support, maybe don't support DHCP, and so on and so forth. I could do port forwarding here. We'll talk about this after, and I'm done. If I don't need them anymore, I'm going to remove this one. I will remove this one. I'll leave at least one of them. Okay? So the NAT network is something you're supposed to have. You're supposed to have at least one of it, even though you're not going to use it now. The next thing we need to do, as they advise us here, we need to be sure that we have this network presented, 192.168.10.1. So how are we going to do it? We're going to do it when you go here on the same menu file, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 below where it says Host Network Manager. I'll click on this one. You see, it's very similar like what I just showed you for the NAT network, but this one is for the host network. Okay? So, and I already created, you see, by default, it has been created one network. That's what you're going to have by default, always. And as you see, there is a DHCP server enabled. Now, since we're going to use our own DHCP server for now, we don't want to use DHCP server. But you need to know whatever decision you choose here to do, and if you would like to implement a DHCP somewhere, and you click on this, on one of these, let's say, or on both of them, so to implement the DHCP server, or you uncheck this one on the first one because you don't want it, you need to reboot your real machine after this, so all of these changes here in the DHCP server portion to take place. That's very important to understand. Otherwise, when you created it and you changed it here, it won't work right away. You need to reboot your physical computer so it's to take place. I really strongly suggest you guys to remember this thing. Now, as you see, I already have 192.168.100 network and 192.168.200 network created. So I'm going to create my third network. I'll click create. I'll confirm here. It will create the virtual adapter. Here it is, number 4. And it's assigning automatically an IP address, which I'm going to change very easily. I'm going to go here on the third octet, and I'm going to say 10. Why 10? Because that's the network they ask from us, right? Here it is. It says 192.168.10. That's all. Okay? So I'm going to say 10 here. Well, because I need to use one, and that would be the adapter. I create this adapter, and this adapter, because it's virtual, it's supposed to have an IP address here. And as you see from our documentation, we need to use this IP address. Well, what I'll do, I'll go instead of the first address here to assign to the adapter, I will put the very last possible one, which is 254. Okay, so in that case, my 192.168.10.1 will be free. So I'm gonna, the other thing which is advantage when you create this type of network, as you see, the DHCP server is not enabled, which is a good thing, okay, for us. We're gonna implement our own. So I'm gonna click apply, and I'm gonna confirm here, and as you see, my network just has been created. Here it is. So now what I could do, when I click on the settings here, we said we're going to go general, advanced. We're going to say bidirectional, bidirectional. Then we're going to go system. I'll remove the floppy. And I will be sure that I choose the USB tablet as a pointing device. On the display, I'll choose the maximum memory. On the storage, I will choose the CentOS 7 image. On the network, on the first adapter, I'll say bridge. So basically, it will take an IP address from my real network, from this network as we spoke. Okay. Second adapter, I'll click here to enable it. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna check host only adapter, and then from the drop down menu here, I'm gonna choose the last which I just created, number 4. So this is like you attach your computer to a switch. So all the other computers we will create, they will be attached to this switch too. Number 4. This is what it has. This is what is from the network 192.168.10.0 with 24 index. Okay. Then I'm gonna go to the shared folder, and I would like to be able from my real computer to access my virtual from my virtual computer to access my real computer's desktop. So choose the desktop here, clicking on this drop-down menu, other. Then I will go choose the desktop. I'll say select folder, and I'll say auto mount. Auto mount meaning as soon as I reboot the computer, it will appear again here, okay, on my desktop. I'll say okay. I'll show it to you, and you're gonna get the point. And then you're gonna click OK. And now I'm ready to start the installation. Now, I will start the installation, and then I will stop the movie, which I'm doing at the moment, and I'll leave you guys, you also to work and to do it by yourself. So I'll start the machine. Now it doesn't find out the proper disk, no problem for this. I'm gonna say CentOS 7. I'll say start, and here it is. It's starting. Now, initially, the second option is always chosen, which means it will test the installation media. You could click inside, and you could just click up arrow so to start directly the installation. If you don't do it, within 30 seconds, it will start checking your disk, and it will take some additional time. You could always click escape, and it will get to the point where I am at the moment. So it will start the installation right away. If at any point your mouse gets stuck inside the virtual machine, right control, you see it says here at the bottom, right corner, right control, and your mouse will be out. Okay, so that's how it works. Any questions? So as soon as we get to the screen, it's very similar to what you do with Ubuntu. Even with Windows, it's similar, even though it looks differently. I'll say continue. I'll accept what is set, what is shown here. So I'll click continue. Now, that's the real installation windows. I will wait a little bit until I see this crawler on the side. The first thing, you see I need to scroll a little bit down because my network is the first thing what I need to do. Don't get me wrong, I could do the network settings after the installation, but I would like to show it to you how you could do it now, statically, okay? So click network and host name. You see now I see two network interface cards, okay? Here they are. So this one says disconnected, this one says disconnected too. So I'm gonna connect one of them. So let's try this one. You see it says off on this crawler. I click on it and it will say on. And you see it's taking address 172.31.0209. That means it has been just connected to the wide area network, which in that case is my network, my real network. So that's what I need. I need this one on. The other one, I could always click on it and do on as well. And I could go configure here. And by default, you see when I click here IP version 4 settings, here it is, it says automatic, right? It says there automatic. So what I would do, I would just click here, and instead of automatic, I would say manual. Okay. Now let's see what they propose us to use here. Let's open the document, and for the let's say they say this interface is supposed to be 192.168.10.01. Okay, so that's what we're gonna use. We're gonna use this this as an interface. Okay, let's also see. So basically, what we'll do. So once again, the IP address here on the this one is 10.01. So I'm coming here back, and I will say like this: add button. For the address, I'll put 192.168.10.1. For the net mask, I could put just the CIDR, which is 24. For the gateway, well, this because that's my firewall interface. That would be my gateway as well. 192.168.10.1. 10.1. And for the DNS server, I would choose here the internet server which I have on the DNS server which I have on my real network, which is 172. That's temporary. I'm going to change it after. 172.31.0.1. That's what I'm going to choose. Now for the search domains, this is the domain name we're going to use eventually there. Let me see. It has been housenet.local. Here it is. Okay, so we will use it. We'll say here housenet.local. And that's the way you guys create a static IP address with static DNS and search domains on your while you're installing your your machine. Now also I could change the name. Let's see how it's supposed to be called. It's supposed to be called fwhousenet.local. Well, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna change here where it says hostname, fw.housenet.local. We're gonna say apply, and then we have we need to say on this one. Here it is. Now wherever I just did it, it's already here. I'll click on this one. This one is also here. And now I could say done. Okay, my network has been done. Don't get me wrong, once again, you could do this after, but I'm just showing to you in case, so you guys to know how to do it here. Now, installation destination, it's asking if this 16 gigabyte of hard drive, virtual hard drive space we designated will be used. We just say done, and that's all. Okay, now, location source, installation source is okay. The software selections minimal install. That's what we need. So you could use the minimal install. If you downloaded the minimal install, you don't have other choice actually. If you have the full installation as me, if you click on this, you see you could use many things, but I'll stick to the minimal install. And the last thing we need to change is to go to date and time and go a little bit up, click once so we to see Toronto. Be sure network time is on, and you just say done, and you're ready to click on the begin installation button. Once you do this, don't forget to do the root password. You could use a short one, as I do, which is not good practice for the production, but in lab, no problem. And you see that says the password's too short, so you will need to press twice. It means that you need to acknowledge that you know that the password is short. So I'll click done, and I'm done. And you need to create a user as well. So the user, the first name will be the name you're gonna see on your screen. So I'm gonna say SNG, Sen Grozdanov, from shorting. And I could say here Sen, use only small letters. As well as I will say, make this user administrator. You could do it after this, but it's better to do it here. And you need to require a password to use this account. Otherwise, you cannot use advanced features. I'm going to choose the same password, although once again that's very bad practice, especially when you're repeating it. And I'll say done, and I'll repeat again. And now I will wait the installation to finish. On my